Hey everybody, I'm Katherine.
Cyreta.
And so we're here again today. Like we told you before when we did our intro segment, we are two women in different generations. And so I was asking Cyreta what she and her friends were talking about as it relates to like finances and things like that. And so she brought up a very interesting topic. So go ahead.
Yes. So we're talking about being in this intersectionality of thinking about our finances and just thinking about life. So, married, have small children, you know, homeowners, our first starter homes, and, you know, our generation is so way down with student debt. We're part of that clan. And just looking to, okay, how are we going to be comfortable? How are we going to afford the things that we need for our children? So whether that's tuition, saving for them, you know, after high school, whatever they decide to do, it'd be nice. Like some of our goals is really we're going to have a down payment for them, a home, if they're not taking over our starter home, or, you know, college tuition, room and board. If they decide to get married, being able to pay for a wedding, you know, just those things that we'll typically go into debt for, making sure our children aren't.
Right.
So having that as a thing.
Okay.
While also at the same time getting out of our own debt, upgrading a home, and then now the latest thing and then looking for retirement. You know, we're in our 30s. So we're talking about, Reverend Catherine taught me, you talk to your elder self. So I call myself Grandma Rita. So how does Grandma Rita want to retire? So thinking about that, how do we retire well? And so the thing that we recently just thought about was, well, who gonna take care of mom and daddy?
Right.
So our parents are the older Gen Xers.
Okay.
And so, you know, born in like that mid 60s. And so we've been just thinking about, wow, what's going to happen with y'all?
Yeah.
You know, so beginning that conversation with our parents of what does your pension look like?
Okay.
And then now we getting into, you ain't getting in my business, little girl, but it's really like a no, for real. What does your pension look like?
Right.
So yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I can get into what my dad said. It's not super personal, but it's hilarious.
What did your dad say?
So I text them.
I
text them and said, you know, we really need to start having a conversation about what does retirement look like for you all. Does your pension, can it carry you to your mid-80s? What we're going to do in the event if you get ill. Things like that. Because I said I need to put you all in my husband and I plan, our financial plan for long term if you all don't have enough.
Okay.
And that may really be a reality.
Yeah.
Y'all may not have enough.
Yeah.
And so my dad's favorite thing I always say is, don't worry about me. Y'all ain't gotta worry about me. You don't gotta worry about your mama either. We gonna be okay. And I said for the first time in my life, I said, Dad, I actually can't listen to that right now. I actually respectfully have to ask you to reconsider, keep telling me that, because what you don't want to happen is be actual inconvenience.
Right.
Being you get ill, or God forbid, or something happens where you can't work. And now we do have to find a way to take care of you. Better to be prepared for that in 20 to 30 years or whatever than it be a surprise and we did not prepare for that.
Right. So what was his response?
Oh, okay. I hear you. Okay. And so him and my mom are actually, they were on the road on their spring break. And he said, well, my mom said it too. Y'all give us a lot to think about and talk about on up and down the highway.
Okay.
So we'll let you know.
So first of all, can I say it is so cute that your parents are up and down the highway talking to each other about this. And so I think it's good because it sparks a conversation that sometimes it's hard to have. Because I know something that my mom used to always say when me and my siblings would be asking her questions about stuff or whatever, and she'd be like, "Y'all can't boss me around. I'm the mama." But it does come to a point where you really have to have conversations. So it sounds like it sparked conversations for them. Have you guys talked about it since?
No, because it literally happened. That was Tuesday.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's very recent. And so it's something that we definitely have to think about.
Yeah.
And so what it made me do is look up just a few stats for long-term care. Because you were telling me before, like there was some conversation between you and your siblings about what you guys were going to do. And so do you want to just tell that piece of it?
Yeah, they said get somebody else to do it. And if somebody else is me. Personally, my siblings, I don't know whether it's a scary thought for them to think about our parents in such a position. You know, one of my siblings made a really good statement. And she said, that's what nursing homes are for. When you are not in a position and someone needs around-the-clock care, that's what nursing homes are for. And they're not lying.
Right.
But I know my mother currently works in a nursing home.
Okay.
So I feel my mom will be fearful going into a nursing home.
Wow. Okay.
So that's just my own personal conviction. To me, that doesn't make my siblings, you know, anything. It's just, that's something that I'm personally convicted about, that I spoke with my husband about. Yeah. That we have agreed, and his parents are still together. Okay. What are we going to do in the event our parents need around-the-clock
care? Right. Okay, it's a great question. And you know what? I'm always talking about having life insurance and all of that. But this is the question that we still have to answer because, you know, people are living longer. Yeah. How are you going to do their care while they're still here, while they're living, as they start to age? And so I just looked up on the Minnesota Department of Human Services. If you didn't know, that's where we are, Minneapolis, Minnesota. And one of the stats that they have here is that the average cost for care for a year is $60,000 a year for an average of 44 hours per week. And then about $48,000 in an assisted living facility, over $90,000 for care in a nursing home. Wow. So $90,000 a year for care in a nursing home. That is a question you do have to ask. Daddy, how much is your pension? You know, like what? Where are we going to get these? Get this from? And so there's a lot of good things at the site. So when we drop this episode, what have you, I will put the Minnesota one in there. If you're not in Minnesota, of course, you're going to have to do your own research. And one of the questions it asks is, will my family take care of me? And so it talks about talking to your loved ones about this, which is something that Cyreta has already done. And then there was another piece. It talks about like, what does your own coverage have? And many times disability insurance, employer-based health insurance may cover it. You want to look to your employer to see if there's anything there. But Medicare and private health insurance, again, it's either limited or no coverage. I'm going to click on this one. Medicare and most health insurance plans do not pay for this type of care. So that's something that you need to know. Your private health insurance or health plan will follow similar rules and is likely to clearly state on an exclusions page what it will cover. An employer-based health insurance, it says check your employer-based health insurance policy for more information on nursing home or health care. As you read the details, you will realize the limited conditions and rules for paying for this care. And then disability. While many people think that disability insurance covers long-term care situations, most don't. Jeez. So this is just like us talking in real time, and Cyreta seeing this in real time. Like, there is not a whole lot of coverage out there. Now, I work at a bank, and so that we do get some coverage. And I will go back and look and maybe put some of this information in there for you guys as well. So also on the Minnesota Department of Human Services website, it has, if you're under 40, if you're between 40 and 60, kind of what you can do. And so Cyreta is under 40. And so it talks about, you know, this being a busy time, like you were talking about. What am I doing in my career? What am I doing for my kids? All of those things that are going on. And it lists, this is a shame, that group is doing a lot, paying off their student loan debt, right? Buying their homes, all those things that you just listed, right? And so these are the things that they give you. And it's not funny, but it is funny. So they talk about personal planning. Part of personal planning is, okay, you need to stay healthy, girl. Okay. You need to do what you can do.
First of all, I said number one, stay healthy and live well to maintain your health.
Yeah. And then it talks about financial planning, housing planning, legal planning. So that's the under 41. And then let me go to the one that I'm in. I'm in the 40 to 60. And then, so there's a few more things for the personal planning. But again, the first thing, staying healthy, assess your long-term care costs, things of that nature. So I'm not going to read this to you guys. You can go on your the websites for yourself. But it gives you something to think about.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to send this to my parents.
Okay. Because it directly affects them. And one of the things I can say, just giving you guys a little background with what happened with my parents, unfortunately, both of my parents died. My mom died suddenly, and my dad, he died from the complications from a stroke. But it took him maybe a year and a half before he passed. So like with my mom, it was instant. My siblings and I had a very small life insurance policy for her, but I'm so glad that we did. And it was something that we had gotten together to do when we were younger. We were in our 20s, and my mom had 3 of her sisters die like within an 8-month period. And so my mom was number 7 of 10. So these are some of her older sisters. And so me and my siblings looked at each other. I think we were like 20, 22, 25. And we were like, well, what, you know, like what's going to happen if something happens to mom? And so we got together, we got a small little policy for her. And we just used to share the cost of it.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I'll arrange it. And so every quarter I would contact them. This is how much it is. And it wasn't a whole lot. It was just a little term policy. I think the payout was like $10,000, something really, really low. Yeah. So when my mom did die, she did have she worked at for an employer that had insurance for them. And so we were able to get the $25,000 from that coverage on top of the 10. And then, so that's what happened with her. And I can go into a whole life insurance thing with you guys at another time. For my dad, he had a stroke. And so we did go through some of this, getting him to get the Medicaid and the Medicare. And I don't even know all the terms right, but you know, where is his income, and he can't make this and this. And my dad was a really, really large man. He probably weighed close to 400 pounds. And so then that even gave us another barrier because some of the facilities wouldn't take him. Yeah. And then one of the things that still hurts my heart to this day, one of the facilities that did take him, you know, you get bed sores and stuff. And because they told us that they would make sure that he was turned, and they didn't. And so what happened was, what sent him back to the hospital was he had a huge bed sore, like huge. And so of course it broke our hearts. It's like, you know, like if you guys say you're going to take care of him, take care of him. And so those are some of the things that you have to think about, like you were saying, your mom's fear of maybe going into a nursing home. And, you know, shout out to the people who work in nursing homes. They really don't get paid nearly enough. But, you know, it was sad because they either couldn't or wouldn't take care of my dad properly. And then he did eventually die. So we didn't have to go, like with my mom, of course, through the whole nursing home and all of that. But my dad, he was in a rehab facility too. And so we did get, I believe it's Medicare that paid for most of that. And we didn't have to pay stuff out of our pocket. But yeah, it's a lot that you have to go through. And my sister works in the hospital system, so she knew a lot of things herself just from her work, so that was helpful. But sometimes people don't know anything. Yeah. They don't have any information about what they need to do. Exactly. So I would suggest that you guys start having these conversations with your parents, so that you can have a plan. Exactly. Even if the plan is, we're going to work it out as we go.
Yeah, that's still a plan. I think the worst thing that can happen is you get surprised by something that could have been planned. If that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Like, even if you saying the plan is we go with the flow, at least everybody is on one accord.
Right.
All right, we're just gonna go with the flow with whatever happens. So because that won't be a shock. It won't be a surprise.
Right.
So just to control, we cannot control when we about to get up out of here, but just to control just a little part of the end of your life.
Yeah. And so that's about, you know, mom and dad, what's the pension like? You know, how much do you have for retirement?
Yeah.
Do you have any money set aside for this?
Yeah.
You and your husband, like you said, you both have, aging parents. So 2 sets of parents, and then you have 2 small kids.
Yeah, and we started our family, quote unquote, pretty late.
Okay.
So, you know, we're going to have we have younger children as our parents are aging.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are a lot of things to think about. So what have you guys done in the past? How have you handled that? Have you had conversations with your siblings?
Yeah.
One of the things I can say, I love my brother and sister so much. And part of that, my mom's name was Jessie, or my mom's name is Jessie. She's still with us as an ancestor. One of the things that Jessie told us, is that she didn't really, like, we had fights like siblings do, but one of the things she's told us, which I tell my kids now, is like, look, if y'all ain't got nobody else, y'all got each other. And I don't want y'all fighting when I die. If y'all do, I'm going to haunt you. That's what that's what my mom used to say. And so what I can say is me, my brother, and my sister, we work really well together when it comes to things like this, because we know Jessie would be like, oh, you know how your mom still be in your head. My mom has been deceased now almost 13 years. But she would be like, oh, really? You know, she was like one of the mamas that didn't play. But we, like, you know, because I've seen other family members, and like even, I'm going to just say that I've seen other family members struggle through that.
Yeah.
Because people, you know, this one got this and this one didn't get that, that whole thing. And you don't even want to go through it. And so if you and your siblings or whoever the next of kin is can have those conversations now, it really just makes it easier. And like you said, the surprise of, no, I was supposed to be like this. It's like, no, we already talked about that.
Right.
This is how it's going to be.
Exactly. And, you know, it reminds me, this is getting off into finances, is I think about the end of my granny's life and how it was almost perfect in the way it was set up. So this goes into just like generational wealth or things like that. So my grandfather, he passed away, I think I was a baby still, and he was a vet. So she still got a lot of those benefits, those veteran benefits. But the house that my family and I are in, that I grew up, and my nieces and nephews grew up all of their life, my uncle owns it. Okay. And it's a duplex.
Oh, okay.
And so we were in a position where my granny was downstairs and my parents were upstairs. And so when my granny started getting towards the end, my parents were right there with her. Wow. In a property that was her son's. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't, we made they made all of the building adjustments that needed to happen for accessibility and, you know, but for her to just be in comfort at the end of her life is also, was something that I often think about. And I was having a conversation with my friend, her husband suggested, well, let's just get a fourplex. Like, we can be on one side, your parents can be on one side, and then his mom can be on one side. It's like when the kids get older, they can just go over there. And I was like, that is a phenomenal idea. And my sister's a realtor. Okay. Had me thinking. And I said, you know, Daddy, what y'all think about this? And he was like, you know, that's cool, but maybe we just buy a lot. Y'all build your house, and then me and your mama, we can all be on the same property, but we ain't got to hear y'all.
He's still trying to say, I ain't mad at your daddy. He trying to keep his sanity.
He said we can do a mother-in-law, whatever it is.
Mother-in-law suite or whatever. Okay.
He said we can do that. He said, and then when we gone and y'all get older, your kids kick y'all out right here, and then they go out See, I always think something is funny.
Okay.
But
I love that you guys are having those conversations.
Yeah, and at the same time still thinking about how can we do these adjustments rather hard or easy, and also still build some sort of capacity of generational wealth.
Yeah, for sure. Passing that on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell y'all a story at another time, but my mom was able to pass her house on to me and my siblings, and I can tell you guys about that at some point. So again, what are you guys doing? How have you guys journeyed through this with your aging parents? How has it affected you financially? For me and my sister and my brother, after we got my mom's policy, like 3 months later, we got one for my dad. So that's how we were able to bury him. But yeah, what have you guys been doing? Tell us. We want to hear. And we hope to see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.